Marlene Zentz. She currently works as Senior Instructional Designer and Accessibility Specialist for Online at the University of Montana. In 2013, she founded the Montana Accessibility Interest Group to raise awareness of accessibility across the state. She also co-founded the International Moodle Accessibility Collaboration Group, a group that works to make Moodle an accessible learning management system. Marlene works with Moodle Rooms and the Blackboard Collaborative Tech Preview team to improve the major online teaching tools used at the University of Montana. She also works with facilities to create accessible online content that meets national standards of excellence. Marlene serves on UM's Electronic and Information Technology Working Group and helps write the university's policy for electronic and information technology accessibility. Marlene regularly presents on accessibility topics with Aaron, right there, at regional, national, and international conferences, including the annual International Technology and Persons with Disability Conference. This is Marlene.
Thanks, Sue.
Aaron, next to Marlene here, is an accessibility specialist from the University of Montana. Aaron graduated this last December from the University of Montana with his bachelor's degree in business administration, with a major in management information systems. As a student, Aaron worked with Online and Central IT to help improve accessibility throughout the campus. After graduation, Aaron was hired by the university to continue accessibility efforts and to conduct software accessibility evaluations. Aaron is a contributor to the IDPF EPUB Reading Systems Working Group and the Blackboard Collaborative Technical Preview Team and the Moodle Accessibility Collaboration Group. Aaron regularly presents at accessibility topics with Marlene at regional, national, and international conferences, including the annual International Technology and Persons with Disability Conference. Aaron also served as keynote speaker for the 2014 Montana University System Extended Learning Institute. So it is my pleasure to introduce Marlene and Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue, for that introduction, and thank you to Dan Gold and the hotel staff for this major setup that took a lot of time and energy, and we're hoping all the technology holds. We are really appreciative of the opportunity to provide this presentation on accessibility to you. We're really imitating what kind of training we provide at the University of Montana. It's a two-screen training situation. This is my screen. This is the screen most of you are going to be used to seeing. Aaron, you are using some assistive technologies, and your screen just went to sleep, maybe. There you go. It's back.
Same page link.
Thanks. Would you just describe the technologies you're working with on your screen?
Sure. So there are 3 assistive technologies that are in play on my screen over here. The first you can probably tell just simply looking at it. I'm using a high color contrast mode. I used to use this before. I don't tend to use it much anymore. It's for people who are low vision and may find it's easier to read content in a higher color contrast. Windows, Mac, Android, most operating systems and devices now have a feature like this built into it. The second assistive technology you may have heard is a screen reader.
JAWS context menu, options submenu,
So this is JAWS. It stands for Job Access with Speech. It's really the industry standard of screen readers, and it happens to be the one that we use at the University of Montana, and it's one of the 2 that's officially designated as supported by Moodle. And then the third assistive technology is screen magnification, which, again, just like high color contrast, is built into all of your devices now, just the ability to zoom in and blow things up.
You like to blow things up, too, right?
I do, especially with explosion.
So what we're going to do today is just go through 4 major principles that really impact accessibility, and we're just going to demonstrate why those are important. And we're going to be looking at a course. We don't present from PowerPoint anymore, we present from Moodle. We're working here with a theme or a course design called SNAP. SNAP is responsive, it was born accessible. Moodle Rooms created it, we tested it with them, and then they released it to the open source community. So this is a theme in Moodle called SNAP. And we are in one topic called Topic 5, Addo Text Editor.
Menu.
It's this topic right here. And we want to show you heading structure, our first principle. We've talked about heading structure during the panel discussion too, so we're going to talk about heading structure. It's incredibly important. In this SNAP shell, the name of the course, Northwest Managers of Educational Technology Conference, that is always a heading 1. And that heading 1 appears on every page in this SNAP course. And all of our courses at the University of Montana that are designed in SNAP always automatically have a heading 1, so faculty don't have to worry about that. Then all the contents here, all the information in the table of contents, those are links. And when they're clicked on, they open up and they become a heading 2. So automatically from the start, there's a heading 1 and a heading 2. If I scroll down, I created some headings, powerful, accessible. Those are heading 3s, and my text editor won't let me create anything other than heading 3, 4, and 5. So I can't mess up the beautiful structure that's already in place. And, you know, Aaron's going to show why heading structure is so important to assistive technology users, but even you can glance at that, and with heading structure, you automatically get an idea of what this information is without having to read every word. So heading structure is good for all of us, and it's really good for students with print disabilities, learning disabilities. It helps them understand your content better when you provide it in great sections and subsections. So Aaron, will you show why that's so critical to you?
Sure. So
Escape.
for a sighted user looking at this page,
Course
you
colon.
visually can skim through the page and your eyes will recognize those section titles, and you'll find the section that you're looking for and you start reading from there. You're not necessarily going to start at the top of the page and read each and every single word all the way down until you get to some section way down at the bottom of the page. So outlining your pages and documents using heading structure gives me, as an assistive technology user, that same ability to, boom, quickly jump to one specific section of the page. So I'm using a screen reader. So one of the choices that I have with my screen reader is I can actually get presented with a list of all of the headings that are in this page.
Heading list dialog. Headings list view. Northwest Managers of Educational Technology Conference : 1.
So
1
there's
of 9.
that heading level
To move
1
to
that Marlene talked about, the name of the course, and that's consistent across the entire course.
Page contents : 2.
There's a heading that's called Page Contents. Visually, you don't actually see this, but this is a really nice cue for screen reader users because there's two main themes in Moodle, Snap and Clean, that we'll show you. And so in Snap, this is displayed as Page Contents. In Clean, this says Topic Overview. And that's actually a really nice pattern because that way you can recognize, okay, well, this particular course said Page Contents, so I'm going to interact with it in this way. Whereas the other course, if it says Topic Overview, you work with it slightly differently. So that serves as a really good cue for a screen reader user to how you'll work with this page. And then underneath there, I see some of these other sections that Marlene's created.
Auto text editor : 2.
So there's the name of the topic.
Powerful : 3.
Powerful is a 3.
Accessible : 3.
Accessible 3.
Accessibility checker : 3.
So as you can see, it's reading out the structure, all of that numbering. So the name of the course is a 1. Then the name of the topic that we're in the course is a 2. And then the sections within that topic are 3s. And then any subsections within that are 4s. So it's helping convey that structure of the page that you can pretty much tell just looking at it. We'll now go ahead and we'll switch over to a course in the Clean theme and just show you what that heading structure looks like there.
Course : the Moodle Accessibility Advantage.
So here's a course that's in the Clean theme. Any of you guys who have used Moodle quite a bit, you're probably pretty used to seeing this view. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the headings list for this course.
Heading list dialog. Headings list view. The Moodle Accessibility Advantage - new features in Moodle: 1.
So there's the
1 of
heading 1.
20. Topic outline: 2.
There's that topic outline that I mentioned earlier. So there's my cue. Oh, I'm in a clean course. I'm not in a snap course.
Welcome: 3.
And then here we go again into some of these other subsections and into the various topics.
Can you jump down to one, Erin? Show how you navigate?
Moodle themes: clean: 4. Home.
So I'm going to go back up, and then I'm going to jump to the topic that says clean.
C. Clean: 4. Enter. Heading level.
Boom. So in our workshops, we usually will pull up a 4-page long syllabus file and jump to a section for weekly assignments that's on page 3. And what we always do is we show them that if you didn't have that structure, I have to sit here and mash my down arrow doing this through 3 pages worth of content before I get to the content that I could just as easily get
Heading
to
list C. Clean. Enter.
by doing that.
Heading left.
So heading structure is one thing that once you know how to do it, it takes seconds. In fact, in Word, it can actually save you time using the heading styles. For an assistive technology user, this will literally save you hours of time just mashing that key to try to get to one specific section of the page.
Great. So you may be wondering, well, how the heck do I know what heading structure is built into my LMS? We use a simple tool with faculty called Fangs, and I'm going to just go to Tools and Fangs. I'll show you if you want to download this for Firefox. And it will give me a real quick read of what's on this page. So if I go to heading list, there I see the heading structure there myself. I'm learning how to use JAWS and I test with JAWS, but I can also show faculty how they can check and see what's going on in their heading structure. So that's a real quick way to get a view of what you're creating in terms of content. We use Snap and Clean themes because they're both responsive, and Core Moodle designed Clean, and they've really worked to make it accessible too and provide good heading structure. This heading level 1 in both Clean and Snap, we did a customization with New School Learning, and we're really happy with it. So if you're in Moodle, you might want to do that. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, so I was going to say, do you still have the Fangs list pulled up?
No, but I can do it.
So if you guys may have noticed when Marlene pulled it up, I pulled up my headings list as well. You can see that it's darn near identical, the headings list that's being provided by Fangs and what you see provided by the screen reader. There's one significant difference, and that is that Fangs will actually display to you empty headings. A screen reader will ignore if there's a heading tag in the HTML and there's no actual content in it. The screen reader will act like it's not there. Fangs will actually display those. So if in the headings list that you see, that Marlene shows you in Fangs, you can actually see one heading in there that's just got like a colon symbol. So if you guys decide to start using Fangs, that's what that is. If you ever see a heading like that, that means that somewhere in that HTML is a tag for a heading, but there's no content contained within it. And those will be bypassed by a screen reader.
So if you just Google Fangs Screen Reader Emulator, you'll find that tool. And then it just installs in the tools menu. So that can be helpful.
Northwest.
Sorry.
That's okay. Some of you may be on Canvas, and I hope I don't have to log in. But Canvas, in your text editor, we're using Addo in Moodle. That was a text editor built by Core Moodle. You're using TinyMCE that's had some modifications to it. This is going to ask me to log in really quickly. Erin, will you talk while I do that?
Yeah, so every learning management system that we've had any experience in working with, and so we've done some work a little bit with Canvas and with Blackboard Learn. I've done a little bit of work now with Desire to Learn in my role as doing software testing. All of these systems will provide at least a basic level of heading structure in there. But when you start adding your content into it, it's important to include additional headings in that content. And so you can use a tool like Fangs to get the idea of what that structure is that the system is already putting in there, and then add your structure around it. And that's in Moodle, it's a really nice the way that they've set up the text editor. You actually can't break the structure in Moodle. You can't add a heading level 1 inside of the heading level 2. It won't let you do that. And that's a real definite advantage to Moodle. But every learning management system has at least some structure that it's already putting in, and they all give you the ability to add your own.
So I'm in Canvas now, and I know I check this accessibility. The name of this page is a heading 1. If I come down and highlight welcome, You'll see down here it says I've got a heading 2, and over here it also shows that I have a heading 2. And you can see that this text editor has been modified so that you can't add heading 1s. So 2, 3s, and 4s, and they're doing that for a reason. Once faculty get used to that, they're fine with it, but we've had to explain to them why they can't add heading 1s and 2s because we used to have to do that. So that's what you're working with in Canvas. So let's go then back to talking about text now. As long as we're talking about heading structure, let's talk a little bit more about text. Erin, if I come in here and I make something bold, or I italicize, or I put it in red to really get somebody's attention, what does the screen reader read out to you?
Nothing.
Right.
So by default, a screen reader will not announce bolding, italicizing, underlining, coloring, strike-throughing, enlarging. Any of those kind of visual modifications that you can make to text are not automatically announced by the screen reader. And so most powerful screen readers like JAWS, for example, or VoiceOver on the Mac, they do have the option that you can turn it on to where it will announce that stuff, but by default it does not. And the reason for that is just think about it. If you were casually surfing the internet and you had it set to, on every piece of text, announce the color and font and formatting information, it would quadruple, if not more, the amount of time it would take for you to interact with a web page. And so by default, that content is not announced to a screen reader. And so the suggestion that we give to faculty is we don't want to stop you from using those really good visual cues. We want it to be great for everybody. What we just suggest is that any information that you're looking to convey by using those visual cues, do it in another way that is accessible. And so I have an example of this that happened when I was a student. I took an ethics class, and the course syllabus or the course schedule was posted up on Moodle, and there were 3 days in the schedule that were colored red. The idea being that the days that were marked red were days we weren't going to meet in class. Class was going to be held online that day. Who do you expect was the one student who was sitting in the classroom that day wondering where the hell everybody else was? That would be me. So once I talked to the teacher about that and explained to her, yeah, you know, it didn't announce that to me, so it didn't tell me that these days were red. She just went and she put a little note up at the top that says, asterisk indicates class will be held online that day. And then at the end of each day, each of those 3 days, she put an asterisk. So it was still red, still looked great for sighted folks, and it had the asterisk that automatically read out to the screen reader to give me that same information as well. And those are the kind of solutions that will help you get around those issues.
Yeah, and so we give them suggestions too, like to set off, if something's really important, like there will be a test on Friday, just make it a separate line, make it its own paragraph, and then put an exclamation point after it, because an exclamation point is red. It
will enunciate your exclamation points and your question marks. So visit the University of Montana homepage, exclamation mark, you'll hear it at the end, homepage, versus visit the University of Montana homepage, if it has a question mark at the end. Once you're really used to hearing the screen reader, you will hear those cues that indicate exclamation marks and question marks and those kind of things.
So we just tell faculty, you know, if something's important, write the word important, colon, test on Friday, exclamation point. It's really easy. And then they know that everybody's getting the same information. So that's our first principle for accessibility, heading structure, and then always remember how you're dealing with text. We combine those. The next principle we cover is alternative text for images. When images are used, they have meaning, and that meaning needs to be conveyed for everyone, unless it's a curlicue or just some decorative image that doesn't have any meaning. It's maybe just a visual divider for people who are sighted. So to add an alternative text to an image, I put a Moodle logo in here. And if I just click on the image in the text editor, you can see that I wrote Moodle logo. Logos are okay to have text in images, and if there is text in a logo, you need to include it in the alternative text. If it's a purely decorative image, you can check here, but Addo will not let you out of here until you make a decision. Is this purely decorative, or do I need to add alternative text? It will not let you save until you do one or the other. So faculty have to think about that. Erin, how does JAWS deal with that
Course.
alternative text?
So let me
Northwest
go ahead and I will play
page
that for you.
contents head auto text edit. Graphic Moodle logo.
So just in case you didn't hear it, we'll do it one
Auto
more time.
text. Graphic Moodle logo.
So that's reading out graphic Moodle logo. So the alternative text that Marlene put in there says Moodle logo. The screen reader automatically tells me right at the start that what it is reading out to me is an image. And that's actually a really important thing to note when you're dealing with your alt tags. So if Marlene had said picture of Moodle logo, then the screen reader would read that out as graphic picture of Moodle logo. It's basically telling me that it's a picture twice. And so picture of, image of, screenshot of, those kinds of things, you don't need to include those in the description. Just dive right into what it is that you're trying to describe there. What is that meaning that you're trying to convey with that image? And that's really a key thing when it comes to alternative text for images, is it's not a literal description of what exactly is going on, what color of shirt the person is wearing. Your goal is to convey that meaning. And so, Marlene, you can articulate that better than I can.
Oh, no, that's great. It's the meaning in the particular context. So why did you put that image there? If you can't figure out a reason, maybe that image is clutter, and clutter is not good design, and it's not good for accessibility purposes at all. We hit that all the time in our PowerPoint workshops. Faculty put these god-awful images in their PowerPoint, and then we ask, well, okay, what's the meaning and purpose of this? And they can't articulate that. So we say, well, maybe you should have less, that image doesn't need to be there. We also deal with complex images. There's so much, like maybe it's an art object, maybe it's a graph, maybe it's just a GIS map. We all deal with really complex, meaningful images. So our recommendation to faculty is keep your alternative text about the length of a tweet, keep it short, and then underneath the image write a paragraph and explain what your purpose is in putting that complex image there. And that ends up helping everyone when you say, this image is here because, and then you articulate the meaning. If you are using images for links to go places, like sometimes we use the little image of a house in Moodle to tell them to click there, they know automatically it takes them to a home page. So if you're using linked graphics to go places, the alternative text is not house, it is return to course homepage. So there's just those little things with graphics. But there are all kinds of there's all kinds of work being done on complex images. We go to conferences and we listen to presentations that can go on for 2 hours. Complex images are a huge topic right now across the country and across the world. 3D printing is now being used for complex images. There's all kinds of work going on at the Diagram Center. So we kind of stay in touch with the Diagram Center. We watch their website. They have great videos here on how to really deal with complex images, because it's a difficult task sometimes to say, what if you had to describe your circulatory system? You've got an image of your circulatory system. How do you break that all down and effectively describe that? So there are some people who at the Diagram Center who are really creating good guidelines and helping people understand what they need to include for complex images. Do you want to say anything else?
One last thing that I would add about images is it's a little different. The other principles that we're talking about, really, they go across the board, whether you're talking Word, PDF, Canvas, Moodle, you name it. They all work really the same, working with headings or links or tables. It works the same in all of them. Images are a little bit different in that in a web environment, if the image has no tag, the screen reader will ignore it. It will not do so in a Word document or in a PDF. So in Moodle, you kind of have that flexibility that, okay, well, this is a purely decorative image. I'm not going to tag it. It'll get ignored. Word, PDFs, publishers, you can't do that, because if you put a fancy, a colorful dividing line, an image of a dividing line, the screen reader reading through that document, if it has no tag, is going to say unlabeled graphic 1, unlabeled graphic 2. And then I don't know if this is a decorative image or if it's a chart that's got some really important information that I need out of it. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that working with images is a little bit different whether you're talking about documents versus online environments.
Great, thanks, Aaron. So 2 principles, heading structure, alternative text for images. The third one of the 4 is self-describing links. So let me just scroll
Powerful
down
heading,
here.
accessible heading, heading S, screen loader S.
So I'm gonna have Erin
D,
handle this
descriptive
part of
links,
it.
enter, blank.
There's different
Heading
ways
left
to
blank.
make links. A self-describing link like this one tells everyone where they're going. So you can see we're talking about universal design here, not just assistive technology users. So that you can do self-describing links, which we endorse. You can do long URLs, and Erin, that's your favorite part of the presentation.
It really is, and you'll find out why in just a moment.
And then there's the proverbial click here, read more, all of that. Erin, tell us how you interact with those.
So, as a screen reader user, one of the main ways that I will work with links is very similar to the way I work with headings. My screen reader will actually give me a
Links
list
list
of
dialog.
all of the links that are contained within the document or the web page. So, what happens when you use this feature is that it takes the link out of the surrounding non-link text. So if I have a sentence that says to visit the University of Montana homepage, click here, and the words click here is the link, all that comes up in my box here is click here. 9 times out of 10, when a page has 1 click here, it has more than 1 click here. And so
C,
you end up with,
contact information. C, course tool. C, click here.
there's 1,
Click here.
there's another, back to back.
Access, click here,
I have no
click here.
idea, just looking in my document, or my links list here, where these links are going to take me. And so the idea is based on the link text alone, a user should be able to tell where it is that that link is going to take them. The second part of that is URLs and why you don't want to use long URLs. And the reason why is because for somebody like myself using a screen reader, it's going to read it out in excruciatingly long detail. I'm going to play you an actually relatively short URL, so keep that in mind that this one is actually pretty short.
H, home, H, home, H. https://docs.moodle.org/30/n/text_editor number accessibility_checker.
So that's a really short one. Imagine it reading out a YouTube. That's usually in our workshops, we'll have it read out this gigantic URL that takes you to a Blackboard Collaborate session, and the words Blackboard Collaborate and session are nowhere to be found in that link. So there's really no way that a user would be able to tell just with the URL where it is that that is going to take them. And Marlene mentioned linked graphics. If you have linked graphics, they will appear in the links list, and whatever you've given as the alt tag is what's going to appear in this list. So using Marlene's earlier example of a house, if that house icon that you click on and it takes you to return to the course homepage, if you give that a tag of little yellow house, my screen reader is going to tell me I have a link to little yellow house, not I have a link to return to the course homepage. And so, just something else to keep in mind when it comes to working with your alt tags and images and creating up your links.
Escape.
Great. And I'm sure you
Course
all know how to create
Northwest.
self-describing links. Randy, do you have a question?
I was just going to ask, regarding the short URL, and I know how important that is, but at the same time, I mean, is it useful, even if you're using like Google's short URL option, it almost seems like it needs to be more descriptive to tell you what it is.
Yeah, I think we
Sometimes you don't have control.
Yeah, I think we need to be thoughtful about when we use self-describing links and when we might need to provide the URL. So what we tell faculty in our trainings when they create their syllabus, and we encourage them to just create it in a page in Moodle because there's already structure there, but some of them like to have it in a Word document. And students often print out a syllabus, right? So when they print out a self-describing link, they lose the URL completely. It's gone. So if the faculty member puts the self-describing link and also the URL, just in case some students might print that out, they're working to make everyone get the information they want. And in Word, you can right-click on a hyperlink and scroll down and is it called break the link?
No, it says remove hyperlink. So if you right-click on a URL in a Word document and you can select remove hyperlink, then that will actually not appear in the links list to a screen reader. So that's a way that you can provide both a self-describing link and a URL at the same time. You just remove the hyperlink on the URL, and then it won't show up in a links list. It won't be triggered with the keyboard shortcuts for links.
one more question.
So is that the recommendation, is to actually remove the hyperlink for the long piece and leave the descriptor in there, but make sure that the descriptor actually says what it is, not just click here?
The web content accessibility guidelines call for descriptive links, that you should be able to tell where the link is going to take you based on the link text alone, and not to provide URLs or links like click here.
And that descriptive text should be part of the visual text or part of the title tag for the anchor. That's my.
The descriptive text should tell everybody where they're going. So if I'm sending people to the diagram center, my sentence would read, see the diagram center for more information, and I would make diagram center a link, and I would just copy this URL and make a link out of that in my editor in Moodle.
And that descriptive link would be visible to everybody, not just to screen reader users. So it would be the actual text that is being displayed visually up on the screen. We probably need to move on to.
Yeah, we'll move on, but I think people should never use click here, read more. Those are really the big problem solver or problem makers.
Escape.
So heading structure, alternative text for images, self-describing links, and the fourth one, you probably are pretty familiar with it. It's creating properly formatted lists. So how do you deal with lists, Aaron?
So lists are really great in that I have one key access to get to a list. So I press L.
Wrapping to top. List of 3 items.
There's a list of 3 items.
List of 10
Here's
items.
a list of 10.
Auto text editor. List of 5
Here's
items.
a list of
Nesting
5
level
items.
1.
So I can just, with one key, I can move between the various lists, and then just using my up and down arrow keys, it reads off the list items.
Bullet standard features common to HTML editors. Ink bullet plugins provide additional functionality. Bullet customizable.
So that is something that is supported across the board. Whether you're using a really sophisticated, expensive, powerful screen reader like JAWS that costs $900 for a single home license, or if you're using Windows Narrator, which is built into Windows and is really awful, but is very basic and it's always there, they will all support working with lists in this fashion. So it's a great way to structure your content that really is screen reader agnostic. It doesn't matter what assistive technology they're using, they'll be able to interact with those lists. As opposed to tables, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, which really does require a higher level of knowledge on the part of the user in how to operate that assistive technology, and they have to actually have a sophisticated piece of software that will let them interact with those tables in an effective manner.
Sometimes we see tables, especially in syllabi, where they're not really working with tabular data. They're putting all kinds of text, like week 1, and then they write a paragraph, and then they do more information, and they format all this information by using tables to format. And first of all, tables really do help convey information more clearly, but make sure you're using tables to convey tabular data. It could be, sometimes we give them the example, like week 1, the name of the assignment due, the number of points, and the due date. Those that's good stuff to be putting in a table, but they need to create the table properly. So Aaron, can you talk about that? We've created
Yes.
a table here properly, so we don't have to do that on the fly.
So there are 2 components really to making a good accessible table. One of them is to provide a table caption. So sometimes you might hear this referred to as a table summary. That describes what information is going to be within that table. That table caption will automatically get read out as soon as the screen reader hits that table. The second part of it is to add row and column headers to the table. So what happens if you don't add row and column headers is it basically becomes incumbent on the user. I have to memorize, okay, column 1 contained gross pay, column B contained net pay, column C contained the taxable amount, D was the year-to-date amount. I have to memorize what information is contained in each column or each row, because the screen reader will not tell me the title or the name of that particular column that I just entered into. So if you mark up your tables using row and column headers, what will happen is as the screen reader is moving between the rows and columns, it will always re-announce to the user what column they just entered or what row they just entered. So it eliminates that need for the user to memorize what columns contain what, or to have to backtrack up to the very first cell of the column to try to figure out, okay, which column was this again? So it's another thing that saves a huge amount of
Course
time.
column.
We've got a small table in here. I'll demo this just
Table
real
with 4
quick.
columns
And
and
Aaron,
4
while
rows.
you're getting ready to do that, I've got the edit table open, so I'm just going to show them how in our editor now, it calls for a caption and it asks what headers. Do we want headers on columns, rows, or both? And I always select both. Headers and headings are not the same thing. Headers are, you're going to hear how it's read out in just a second by Aaron's screen reader, but headers are in tables. They're not headings that we're talking about here. So go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, so I'm going to set my focus to the table. Again, this is one key.
Table with 4 columns and 4 rows. Employee payroll information.
So
Column
boom,
1.
it
row-
immediately tells me the dimensions of the table. In this case, it's a table with 4 columns and 4 rows. It then announces out that caption that's been provided on the table, which in this case is employee payroll information. I can now move between the columns.
Gross pay. Name.
So there's name,
Gross
there's the gross pay,
Net pay.
net pay.
Column,
So I'm
name.
going to go down the
Column-
name column here. Let's see the names of the folks that are on
Bill.
here.
Row
So there's
2.
Bill.
Jane.
Jane.
Row Tom. Row
Tom.
4.
Let's check out Jane.
Jane.
So
Row-
Jane, now I'm on the Jane row, so I'm going to move to the right on that row.
Gross pay. $8,000.
Gross
Column
pay, $8,000 it says.
2. Net pay. $6,800. Column 3.
$6,800.
YTD
Your
pay.
YTD pay.
$82,000.
So it's actually letting me know this is the name of the column that you just entered in. So it provides that context. Now if I change my rows, like let's say here I am, I'm on the year-to-date column. If I go up or down,
Bill.
Bill.
$55,000.
55,000.
Jane. Tom. $32,000.
Tom,
Row 4.
32,000. So it's the row that's changing when you're going up and down. So it's letting me know the name of the row that I just entered. You're going left and right, the column changes. So it tells you the name of the column that you just entered. So it's a great way of providing that contextual information. Really, from my experience as a student, if I was given a table that contained more than 4 or 5 rows and it didn't have row and column headers, it was pretty impossible to work with. Especially if it just contained lots of numbers, because you have to try and memorize what value is contained in which column, and that gets very difficult to do.
Great. So we showed you the 4 principles and how we teach faculty to apply those: heading structure, alternative text for images, self-describing links, and lists or properly structured tables. So that's a sample of how we teach faculty to enter accessible content into Moodle or enter accessible content into documents they upload into Moodle. What we'd like to do is we work with Moodle and Moodle Rooms. We also work with the Blackboard Collab Ultra Tech Preview team. The Collab Ultra has been redesigned in HTML5, and we've provided a lot of usability information for them. And we're going to hold our breath on the technology and try one more thing, and then we're going to open this up to questions.
Alt tab,
So,
empty alt tab,
I'm gonna
alt shift
go
tab, empty main
to a
region,
different browser
empty
here.
access. There are no button, main heading level 1-0. Something went wrong. Blank. Try contacting the moderator.
Uh-oh.
Main blank. Session
Says,
control.
uh-oh, something went wrong. Try contacting the moderator.
Control L.
I think you
Navigation
got timed out.
Yeah, I think so too.
Blank. Enter.
Well,
Session
this will show you guys really quickly what it's like to actually log into
to log into
Collaborate.
the links list up C. Contact C. Campus map C. Contact. Escape. H title is Montana Accept. Links list skip C. Contact C. Collaborate. Enter. BB Collab.
So if any of you guys
Main
are
region.
familiar with the prior version of Blackboard
There- there's
Collaborate,
session
they called
control.
it Collaborate Classic.
Session control. BB Collab. Joining quote MT.
So in the old version of Collaborate, you had to have this program called the Blackboard Collaborate Launcher. You'd enter in your name, it would download this file onto your computer. You then have to open the file using the Collaborate Launcher. That would initiate the session, and that's just if you're somebody that could see. Now, if you were a screen reader user, there was an extra wrinkle thrown in here, because since it was Java, you had to have Java installed on your computer in order to have what they called the Java Access Bridge. The Java Access Bridge had to be enabled before you enter into the session, otherwise the screen reader won't read any of the content. And just to make it more fun, when you go to java.com and you use the free Java download link, it by default installs a 32-bit version of Java. If you have a 32-bit version of Java and a 64-bit screen reader, they won't talk to one another. So there's an awful lot of things that could go wrong with Collaborate Classic when you were a screen reader user in particular. Collaborate Ultra, none of those problems because it's HTML5, it's operated from within the web browser. That provides a few extra really nice features. For starters, in the Java version of Collaborate, you had two ways of moving through the interface with the screen reader. You could press Tab to move from one control to the next, or you could press F6 to move from one panel to the next. That was pretty much it. In Collaborate Ultra, because it's not Java, it's HTML, it's in the web browser, you actually can use all of the keyboard commands that you are used to using as a screen reader user in Collaborate Ultra. B to move to buttons, H to move to headings, E to move to edit fields. All of those work as you would expect. And that really is, that's a very good thing. The most complete list of keyboard shortcuts I have found for JAWS is 91 pages long. So to expect a user to memorize 91 pages of commands just to work with their screen reader, then expect them to memorize a whole other list of keyboard commands to work with one particular application, that's a very hard sell. And luckily with Ultra, you don't have to do that.
Are you going to log into the session?
Type your name to join the session as a guest
Oh,
caller.
it said logging in.
Type your name
No,
to
I need you to
space.
get in.
AOSPHE tab. Join session space. Empty main region. Joining quote MT accessibility interest.
Okay, Aaron's
Connected
joining.
to quote MT
I'm gonna make Aaron a
accessibility interest
moderator,
group quote.
and Aaron's going to hear me do
Blank.
that.
Banner. You are heading level
yep.
1 megadon.
I interrupted it. Sorry. Can you make me a participant and do it again?
Yep.
You are now a participant.
Okay, I'll make you a moderator.
Go for it.
You are now a moderator.
So check that out. It's automatically announcing out events that occur in the room. So if somebody raises their hand, if somebody joins the room, if your role has changed, if somebody types a message into the chat, that will automatically be read out. Marlene, you want to throw something into the chat for me?
Yeah. I don't know where your webcam is pointing, but your picture isn't coming up, but that's okay.
Oh.
Let's see.
Audacio. It looks like your connection isn't good enough to display multiple videos right now. Dialogue.
Well, we can skip that.
Blank. Blank.
Multiple videos. I'm assuming we don't have the greatest internet.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Blank. Tab.
Okay, there you go,
Banner
Aaron.
region. Leave session button. Empty app. Close alert button. Space. Audacio.
So I was in the process of closing
Blank.
that alert. When,
MT.
so one of the ways in which this automatic readout works.
Audacio. It looks like your connection can't display videos or
Jeez Louise.
there are no buttons.
So
Screen up.
one of the things that the screen reader will do, the way that this is set up, is that if the screen reader is in the process of reading something out, it will not interrupt what I'm currently doing to read me out something that occurs in the room. So if somebody's sharing a file and I'm reading the contents of the shared file, it's not going to stop reading the shared file to read out that Marlene typed something into the chat. And so what happened just now was I was actually trying to close this dialogue that's telling me the internet is bad. And because I was doing that, it didn't automatically read out the message that Marlene had typed into the chat.
I'll type in another one.
Go for it. I won't touch anything.
New chat message in everyone chat room from Marlene Zentz. How does NVDA work in Collab Ultra?
Yes. So, how does NVDA, non-visual desktop access, work in Collab Ultra? So, we've been showing you with JAWS. JAWS is great. It's very powerful, very sophisticated. It's also very expensive.
Space.
So, there's another screen
Tab.
reader out there that is
Blank.
called non-visual
Blank.
desktop access.
Alt tab.
It's
course
free.
Alt Shift tab. Empty app. Space. Speech off.
Turning that off, we're going to fire up NVDA. The voice is very bad.
MT Accessibility Interest Group -BB Collaborate Mozilla
Not as loud.
Firefox.
Okay. So,
MT Accessibility Interest
there's NVDA now. You want to throw something into the chat for me? Give me an emoticon.
Oh, okay. Oh, let's see. I'll just give you a smiley face and be nice.
New chat message in everyone chat room from Marlene Zentz : smiling face with open mouth.
New chat message from Marlene Zentz, smiley face with open mouth.
Smiling
So
face.
automatically reading out those new chat messages, rather than reading out :right parent, it actually read out to me graphic, smiling face with open arms. For those of you who, aren't screen reader users, most of the time emoticons are read out as :right parent, :right left parent, :P. So this is actually really nice that it displays it as an image that's already got an alt tag. So that's something that's just already taken care of for you. I'm going to switch back to JAWS because it's faster.
And then when
Enter.
you're back in JAWS, you're going to show how you can share content.
Speech on.
While
Blank.
you're doing that, I
Blank.
just say
Tab. Banner region. Leave session button.
So we can,
And
when we talk to the tech preview team, one thing I've really pushed for. There's live captioning in this system now, and they're working on creating a window where an ASL interpreter can sign through a session for those who need signing. I'm really pushing for accessibility of the whiteboard, and they have that on their roadmap now. So there's some really good things coming down the road for this system. One last thing we want to share
Reload the
is a
session.
document.
Empty. Reload the session.
I'll let
Dash O.
Aaron do
Reload
that,
the session
'cause
button.
I think it's-
Blank.
can you-
Dash O.
Uh-oh.
It looks like your connection can't display
It looks
videos
like your
or
connection can't
Reload, close
display.
alert, enter. Close alert, enter. Blank. My settings. Top
we
set
can
is
call
away.
it
Share
good.
audio.
Or to
Top
the
share
end
vid.
if you want.
Empty. Leave session. Share content.
Okay,
button.
share content.
Okay, great.
Close button. List of share share files button.
Share files.
Enter. Share files. Close. Add files here. Select close button. Add files. List of 1 items. Select NWMet contact information.
So here's the file
.pdf to
that we've
share
already
it.
uploaded
Toggle
in
button.
here. It says select it, reads me out the name, it asks me to share it.
Enter. Select NWMet contact information. .pdf to share it. Toggle button pressed. File has 1 pages. Tab. Select NWMet contact information. .pdf to share it. Button pressed. 5 tab. Page footer.
Can you try sharing that again?
Shift tab. Select NW. Enter. NWMet. Add files
Probably
here.
helps
Blank.
to actually hit the share now
NWMet
button, huh?
space. Blank. Add file. Close button. Heading left. Close button. Add files.
the
My settings.
document's
Toggle
on
set
now.
as away.
It showed the file name.
My add file. Close button. Heading main with share content button. Main heading close button. Add files here. Blank. NWMet space. Menu. File. To move through escape. Close button. Add file blank. NW blank. Share now button unavailable. Blank. NW space. Menu. File menu. Escape.
The
It keeps,
document's gone.
yeah, it keeps triggering my
Close
file
add
menu.
files. Close button. Heading level. Close add files here
That's
button.
'cause it
My
wants you to
settings.
get the file.
Add blank. NWMet.
It says the file name right
Blank.
there.
NWMet contact information.
NWMet
.pdf is no
contact
longer in the
information.
content
Oh, it's no
library.
longer.
Add files here space.
Usually helps if you let the
File
screen reader
upload.
read the rest of the sentence.
Shift tab.
Let's try
Explorer
and
pane.
add this.
Folder layout pane. Menu. Escape. Shift tab.
So another
September
kind of
24th.
nice thing here,
508 September.
actually uses
Shift
a
tab.
standard
Level
Windows
1 D.
Explorer window.
Level 2. Desk D. Document. Enter tab.
as opposed to some proprietary file picker kind of thing, like what you see in Moodle.
Downloads.
You actually can just use a standard
Documents
Windows Explorer window.
tab. Shell
to pick
folder
your
view.
file.
Archive. N. NAMO. N. NWMet content. Enter. MT Accessibility Interest Group -BB Collaborate Mozilla
read me out the
Firefox.
progress.
Tab panel. Main region. Add files here button. Drag images, PowerPoint, or PDF files here, or click to add. Uploading NWMet
Uploading.
contact information .pdf. 75%, 84%, 92%, 100%.
100%.
Processing.
Okay.
NWMet. Select NWMet Share Now button.
Share Now.
Space. The whiteboard is being shared.
All right,
Sharing
Trey. So,
And
that
can
file-
I show something? You finish
Empty.
saying what you're going to say, and then I want to show how I can magnify that.
well, I'm going to show them actually at reading out. So
Okay,
go
let
for
me
it.
magnify right now. So as an individual user, I can zoom in if I'm, maybe I have low vision. I have the ability to control how I'm seeing this screen myself. So go ahead now and read that out.
Virtual find. JAWS find. Enter. Northwest Managers of Educational Technology presentation. Please contact us for more information about accessibility. Contact information: Aaron Page, clickable aaron.page@umantana.edu. Period.
So, as you can see there, it is reading out the text content contained within that PDF. This is still, it's they're just getting started on kind of getting this part all up to par in terms of accessibility. Right now, it will provide you access to the text contained within a PDF or a PowerPoint that's being shared in Collaborate. It, at the moment, does not convey the headings, image tags, descriptive links, those other kind of essential elements to making documents accessible. But it at least gives you access to text, and this is the first online collaboration tool that I have seen that provides screen reader users at least with access to the text of something that is being shared. So it's a very great tool. From the other collaboration software that I've had the opportunity to work with, I really find this the most intuitive and easy to use. First and foremost, because it does not make me have to memorize some other set of keyboard commands in order to work with it. I work with this just like I do any other website on the internet.
So basically, we provide faculty with training in the LMS, in documents, in the web conferencing system, And it's really a wonderful experience when we can roll out new tools to faculty, and they're accessible, they're good for everyone, and faculty go, wow, I want to use that. So that's what we wanted to share with you today. We have about 8 minutes left, and we'd like to open it up for questions. Randy.
It's called NVDA. It stands for Non-Visual Desktop Access. Yeah, if you go to nvaccess.org, it's where you can download it. It's free.
I might also, I'm just going to go back to Moodle and share one thing with you. Since we don't have a PowerPoint presentation we can share with Anna to give to you. I'm spinning here. If I go to contact information, we created a guest login to this shell, and we wanted to give that guest login to you. The URL is http:// I can't talk anymore today, tinyurl.com/Moodle Advantage, and you use the non-NetID login and log in as Moodle.guest with the password of guest if you would like access to this shell. And the plugins, we've also provided here the plugins for the Snap theme, and we've also created an accessible advanced forum. We didn't cover that today, but the places at GitHub where you can get that for your system are in this shell as well.
For Moodle.
For Moodle. Mm-hmm. How many of you are Moodle users? Okay, about maybe a third to half of people. And we're working with Canvas too. We've done presentations for Blackboard Learn. All the major LMSs get accessibility. They all know they have to be competitive. And so they're all moving forward. We haven't looked at D2L, but our colleagues in Montana use it, and we know, I've looked at D2L's website, and they've got great information about the accessibility of D2L. Yeah. So the major LMSs are really making great strides. Question?
Looks like this first grade, you guys is quite confidence in the application within this. At our college, we're struggling, I guess, to find a better confidence in the application to use at enterprise level. Do you guys have any advice or information, good points, bad points about accessibility and the other types of confidence in the application?
Yeah.
You talk to me after the session. I don't want to be recorded saying stuff about some of these other ones.
Okay, well, we'll turn our mics off and the cameras and talk to you. Question?
Yeah, I had a question about how you're enforcing some of the accessibility in Moodle. Was that a feature of Addo editor, or was that a theme feature?
Are you talking about heading structure, or I'm not sure about you?
No, more like enforcing adding like a caption to a table or alt text.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So it's kind of a mixture of the two. So I mean, we're doing what we can to get the system to automatically do a lot of these things by itself. So just by the process of adding names to topics, those topic names automatically become headings. At the same time, we're also adjusting the tools that instructors have available, and to some extent kind of eliminating the ability to make things that aren't accessible. And so that's why now, for example, your headings, you can't add anything that breaks that structure that's built in. Your images, you have to either tag it or mark it as decorative before you can proceed. So it's really a combination of the two in getting the system to where it automatically does a lot of things to improve the accessibility and eliminating that ability to make things that aren't accessible.
Great. I'm just wondering about the mechanism for how you achieve that. Is that part of the Addo text editor?
Yeah, you can't add a table anymore without seeing these options for headers and captions. So basically, we're just educating faculty about Addo. Aaron, I'm going to go to the Online website for accessibility, if you would talk for a minute.
And yes, a lot of that is Addo. So right now in our version of Moodle, by default, it's automatically set to Addo for all users. Users do have the ability to go into their personal profile and switch it back to TinyMCE. And if you were to do that, you would again have the ability to break the heading structure and to, insert images without tags. So yeah, a lot of that is tied to Addo, yes. And we also, we mentioned the advanced forums that we worked on. We actually are getting rid of the core forums. Did we already get rid of core forums? We did, didn't we?
Yeah.
So now you only have the option to add a forum that is accessible.
So we do trainings for faculty, and then we create handouts, and we explain Addo. Addo's the default text editor, and we thought faculty would scream when we took away Tiny MCE. And only one person did scream, and as soon as he knew it was for accessibility reasons, he thanked us and continues to send emails about how much he appreciates the accessibility features. So this is information on Addo at the UM Online website. I've started making a style guide. This isn't fully developed yet, but I'm starting to see if this will load. I'm starting to create a style guide for how to work with content, but this is not well done. But I think faculty need lots of kinds of supports. They need it just-in-time support. Some people like online training. Some people like to come to us and have face-to-face training. So we're just trying to meet faculty where they want to meet us. Question?
Yeah, because, the University of Montana was in the news a few years ago for this type of thing. Question I have, because, I don't feel my university has responded to it in a way that you've responded to this, and that was, for what reasons you did. So when this happened, was it a matter of the University of Montana realigning resources to commit to this, or were there new resources available to do this for the university?
Definitely realigning.
Yeah, there was a question asked during the panel about funding, and we had no funding. There was no funding, and I talked to the California State University system at a conference once, because they have a center for universal design for their whole system. And I said, how did you get the funding? And they sort of laughed and they said, we don't have any funding. So if you're starting on your campus and you're expecting some funding to come down to you, I think it's a matter of being very creative. My job description was changed. Aaron was already working with us, but now he's graduated and he's hired as an employee. We all just all of us that were the early champions of accessibility just started working really hard to explore solutions. And now we do have some funding from our CIO. Our CIO presents nationally on accessibility because he thinks it's a cost saver now, which is really a great thing for a CIO to be saying. But really, we just had to reallocate human resources and move forward. So we're at 4 o'clock. We're happy to talk with you through the rest of the conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
For your attention.